Hello, hello. Welcome to the My Voice or Story podcast. This is your girl, Cielo. Hello, guys. It has been a while. I'm super excited to be here. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're excited you're here. This is our first official episode since our relaunch. And we've just been working really hard to bring you the most incredible guest. Our goal with My Voice's Story is to provide you with effective tools, resources, tangible tips to help you transform any aspect of your life. So make sure you stick around. Today, I'm sitting down with Ryan Lill. I'm so excited for you guys to get to know him. He is an amazing singer, songwriter, LGBTQ activist from South Carolina that's just killing it in the music scene. He's truly blowing up. He has performed alongside chart-topping artists like Meghan, Trainor, Todrick, and it all started when his 2014 single Kerosene put him on the map in the music world and landed him an MTV artist spot. How cool is that? Now, Ryan is here to talk a little bit about his exciting music career, but most importantly, he's going to really dig deep on the topic of learning how to love yourself, which is a topic that we'll struggle with, guys. I mean, let's be real. I cannot think of a better person to tackle this topic than Ryan, given that he's so authentic to his music and to who he is as a person. Welcome, Ryan, to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. It's so fun to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I've been listening to your music nonstop.
Thank you.
You guys have to really check out his music. Ryan, can you introduce yourself briefly to people that might not be familiar with your work?
Well, I'm a LGBTQIA plus singer-songwriter here in Charleston, South Carolina. I kind of got my start doing like acoustic music, and it kind of just took off from there. And now I'm doing pop, acoustic, folk, indie, country. I kind of just refuse to put myself in a genre box. I just want to be able to sing to anybody who wants to listen to me.
Wow, that's incredible. So how was growing up on the South?
To be honest, I have a better story than most of the LGBT groups that I know here. My family's always been super supportive. I kind of was the odd kid at school. I didn't really know where I fit in. I didn't have any really big social groups. I kind of just floated through everyone. But growing up here has definitely had its challenges. You know, when I started dabbling in makeup, or I started putting out songs that were more geared towards like a guy and a guy. They didn't exactly go over super well here in town. You know, I've had people tell me that I shouldn't have recorded certain songs, or I shouldn't have said certain things, or I shouldn't wear certain things. But I just have always used that stuff as fuel. You know, like someone says don't do it, and it makes me want to do it so much more, just because like I feel like it's inherently who I am. Just, you know, I feel like you've got to be authentic, and living here has definitely had its challenges with being gay and growing up not really knowing who exactly I was or what kind of like, you know, queer identity I was. I still go in and out of that, you know, like I'm 32 years old and I still have no clue who I am. I just think it's half the journey is like figuring yourself out. So it's been hard here, but I definitely have a very supportive friend group. I have a super supportive family. So really I had people behind my back the whole time. It wasn't like I was left on the street like a lot of my friends were when they came out here in the South, or, you know, religion didn't really overwhelm my life more than not. So I feel like I've had a pretty good story here in the South. It's caused some ruffled feathers, but that's kind of just what I do.
Yeah, and it's so important to have a support system, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How old were you when you realized that you were different?
Oh goodness. I think I can pinpoint it to about 12 or 13 years old. I knew something was different. I didn't really know what it was, but I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. Like I had some detachment issues from my family where when I went to school, I literally would leave school. I would get up in the middle of the day and leave school and walk home.
Wow.
Like I would not stay away from home. It was just I knew something was different. I guess I just didn't have like words to put into it, or I hadn't been around enough to really realize what or who I was. So probably then. And I didn't come out until I was 19. I was a freshman in college. And I told myself, like, I have never experienced that whole weight off your chest moment. But the moment that I told my family, my whole life just opened up. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I finally just wasn't living in some like acting life where I was acting straight or I was acting like I wasn't, feeling these thoughts or having these feelings. So a lot of things changed definitely for me when I came out. But yeah, probably 12 or 13 is when I remember feeling
Was
different.
it liberating when you decided to come
Oh,
out?
1,000%. It's one of those moments where you're terrified. And I think the anticipation, like the buildup of saying it out loud, gives you so much anxiety that you're almost so afraid to do it. But when I did it, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I have never experienced that before in my life. That night I laid down and I was like, I said it out loud. It's out there. Everyone knows. So now I don't have to put on this like facade about who I am. And I just went with it.
Wow, it definitely takes a lot of courage. I'm curious, when did your love for music start?
I would say it was probably around the same age where I did feel different. I don't feel like I really connected to people like a lot of my friends did. They had little friend groups that they all saw each other all the time. They were like hanging out at each other's houses and having sleepovers. And I started playing the trumpet
Oh,
and the cello in school.
wow.
And I would go home and I would practice. I would literally sit there and practice the cello until my fingers started to bleed. I felt like it was my only release, like for getting out of my own head. And it just kind of evolved from there. I was like a member of like a church group in town that like everyone sung. And I was kind of the kid that sat there that was like, yeah, I don't do that. And then eventually one day I just started and it kind of just took on a life of its own. I grabbed a guitar. I started teaching myself how to play like basic chords and I started singing things that came to my head. And here we are years later. I'm writing my own songs and putting them out on the radio.
I feel a lot of people do that these days, uploading their music to YouTube. But Ryan, you are beyond talented. Your voice and lyrics, they really touch people in a very deep way.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we have a new single. It came out on June 1st, Ocean. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that song.
So Ocean was probably one of the hardest songs that I've written. My writing style is really kind of different. I kind of just like hear lyrics in my head and start singing a chorus, and then I build a song around it. I've never really sat down and written lyrics out. That's just not how it works. But Ocean is actually honestly inspired by not only my growing up in this like, Charleston's like a seaside town. I grew up in this town where, it wasn't always great to be different, and people would rather see you just disappear than be a part of this everyday life they have to be in.
Mm.
And I started trying to equate my own journey with the changing of the ocean tides, or like, you're in the beach and like the tide's so strong, it's like pulling you out. Like there's just this thing in this town for me when I was a kid where I just felt like I was being pulled so many different directions from where I wanted to go. And I had been watching Netflix's Outer Banks, which is filmed here in Charleston.
Oh,
And I'm good friends with one of the girls, Madison Bailey. She plays Kiara on the show. So I started writing this and I was like, this would be such a good song for this TV series. But like, I can't get this image out of my head of these like kids that just don't fit in this town because that's exactly how I felt.
yeah.
So I just wrote what was coming out and, Ocean came to life.
Wow. How long did it take you to write that song?
It took me an entire day. I sat down. I had this idea of when they chase you like the tides coming in, and I sat down and I kept singing that one line over and over and over again. And then I just tried to imagine myself standing at the beach, waiting for the tide to take me, and I just started writing. I was like bawling I was so sad. I don't know why. I just like was bawling my eyes out singing the chorus. And even now, like when I play it live, I hit this moment where it's like they call it the lyrics are like they call us crazy. And I feel it because it's like I have I've experienced that so much here. Like people just saying like this dude's crazy. This guy like is nuts. He wears women's clothes, he wears makeup. Like I've heard it all. And it's like it's kind of liberating writing a song that people are like connecting to on their own level.
Yeah.
But like, I wrote this song from me, like for me. Like, this is a song that I wish somebody would have written me a long time ago when I was that awkward queer kid here in Charleston, like trying to figure out who I was.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And you wrote it in one day. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So you're a fierce advocate of the LGBTQ community. What does it mean for
Yes.
you being part of that community?
Um, I feel like there are good and bad parts of every
Hmm.
community, as you and I both know. And it's like they my like the LGBTQIA plus community differs. Every state that I go, it's just a different group of people that like gravitate in their communities. And I feel like I've always had like that chosen family support like from the start. Like when I came out and I didn't know who I was, there was somebody there telling me it's okay. When I started putting out music, there was a group of people who are part of our community, even allies who are, heterosexual, cisgendered, that are like, oh my God, this is so inspiring. This is so good. Like, keep up the good work. So I feel like I've always just had that community support behind me, which has been super helpful for me. Like, when I face these moments of like people being hateful, or I face these moments where like people boo you on stage,
Yeah.
or like they just, like it happens and I know that, but it's hard to be in that moment and not know how to react. But when you've got those people that are behind you that are like chanting your name or like screaming bloody murder, like they want you to keep going and they're so proud of you and they're clapping, like it's just been a blessing to have such an accepting community behind me that has made me feel like no matter what I've got going on, I've got some kind of foundation behind me.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that part, that rejection part? Unfortunately, there's a lot of ignorant people. And, I feel that you
Yeah.
can disagree with someone, but you don't need to be disrespectful. And I think that happens a lot in social media. So how do you deal with that side of rejection and sometimes people just being bullies?
Um, I feel like a lot of people lie about how they deal with this, but the reality is like I feel it. I feel it every time it happens to me. Every time someone calls, just today on Facebook, I had someone comment under a new lyric that I posted with this picture of me like covered in colors. And I posted it for pride about how, your if I had a scar on my body that was colorful for every hateful word someone has said, I'd be covered in color,
Wow.
and they wrote underneath it, they were like, you're no guy, like you're no man,
That's so
like all this
sad.
stuff. And I just like, there's a part of it that's like, it honestly becomes comical to me because I'm like, you took the time out of your day to come to my Facebook
Yeah.
page and write this, drawing more attention to people to come and see it. So it's like, thank you for the negative publicity, but also like, how sad must it be that that's what you do with your
Yeah.
day? That you find someone to make feel less than so that you can feel better. So I feel like I try to be as, I think staying humble is a good starting point for how I feel because I don't feel like I'm better or worse than anybody else. I don't feel like I deserve more or I deserve less. I just feel like I'm in this journey with everyone else. And there are so many orientations and
Yeah.
genders and like marks of heritage and color, out there that like everyone experiences these biases on like different levels, like you experience a bias for the color of your
Yeah.
skin, for the religion you choose to follow, for the hairstyles you have, the clothes you wear. And I just equate it with that line where I'm like, if that's what you're worried about for me, then I'm doing pretty
Yeah.
good. Like if you think that I'm not a man, your opinion is just that. It's an opinion. And it's not my business. Like what you think about me is not my business. And that's my number one rule through and through. Like what people think of you is not your business.
Yeah.
That's their business
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much hate sometimes in social media. It can be pretty,
constantly.
pretty toxic. I always tell this
Yeah.
because obviously I have businesses and we need to be in social media, but I feel that you try to take the constructive criticism and then you just kind of filter everything out, the rest, because it's
Yeah.
just
You
too
have to.
much. It's too much and it can be
You
pretty
have to.
overwhelming. Yeah.
And it's like I understand like the like you said you're a business owner. I am my own. I guess I am a
Yeah,
business.
you
So
are
like
your
my
own
business owning is
for your
you
brand.
have to have social media. And I've had so many friends just say, why don't you just delete your Instagram? Why don't you delete your Facebook? And I'm like, I would love to do that, but I would never have any money. I would never make anything. I wouldn't be able to spread
That's
music.
surreal.
I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
do anything. That's the truth.
Yeah. Now, I want to dig a little bit deeper and ask you more personal questions. As you probably know, majority of people like to talk about their big wins, what they're good at, but they do not like to open up about their struggles. So, what has been one of your biggest losses in your life and what helped you overcome that?
Well, apart from like family members and relationships like falling apart, I've lost a lot of friends in my journey to find myself.
Mm.
Like when I came out, people weren't super accepting of it. Some people weren't. I had friends that I'd had for most of my life that walked away. or that felt like I had somehow lied to them, or tricked them by not being who I
They
was.
were
And
never
I
your real
just,
friends. Never. Yeah.
exactly. And that's the 1,000% truth. And I think that those losses are what has made me like a good writer, because I write from those points of my life. Um, but I think some of the big losses are, I mean, I'm a musician. I've been told no by thousands of people all day. I've sent my songs to radio stations. I've sent my songs to labels. I've had somebody, I won't give any names, but I had a label reach out to me that basically told me that I was not a songwriter,
What?
that I was a singer, and that if I wanted a career, I better just sing the songs that people wrote for me. And I,
Oh my God.
in a nice way, I told them they could take that kindly somewhere else, because that's not what I want with my life. I don't want to sing somebody else's songs. I don't want to be, that somebody wanted to make me a country artist one time, and they were like, "You would do so well in country," and I'm like, I don't think you know how the country industry works.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I do well there at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had tons of heartbreak in the music business side of things where people told me that I was not good enough or that I wasn't going to make it. And I think that for a long time, I would let those things really get me down, where I would just full stop what I was doing and I would rethink every song that I was writing. I would rethink every video I was thinking about putting out, everything that I posted on social media. And then I realized one day that, like, these people aren't paying my
Yeah.
bills. Like, these people aren't here to like support you. They're there to support themselves. So for me, it's like I finally told myself I was going to start writing what I wanted authentically. I was going to wear what I wanted to wear. I was going to put out the music that I wanted to put out. And honestly, it's been overwhelmingly positive that people want to hear that authentic side of you. They want to know when you're upset. They want to know when you're sad. They want to know how you got over it, how you feel better. Like, people want to know those things. And the people that don't want to know those things, they don't have to listen to my music.
Yeah, and I mean, the good thing is that now because of social media, people are always listening to Spotify, YouTube. You don't have to go the
Absolutely.
conventional way. One artist that I can think of is Billie Eilish. I mean, she didn't she submit like Ocean Eyes to SoundCloud, and that's how the song
Oh,
became
yeah.
big. So
Yeah.
it can definitely happen for everyone. Now, Ryan, I love that you are a very authentic artist that's not willing to compromise his talent to fit industry standards. You kind of set your own rules and you are unapologetically you, which is very hard in the music industry. I wonder what has been the hardest thing you had to get rid of or change to become the person that you are today?
I think this is kind of like for everyone. I have a tendency to go into my head with like negative talk,
Yeah.
like that something's not going to work, something's not right, something's wrong. Like, I could do this better, I could do that better. I think learning how to treat yourself, and learning how to accept the fact that nothing's ever going to be perfect, that has been a huge thing for me. I record a song and I would listen to it over and over again until I would just like rip it up, where when I was done with it, it sounded nothing like what I wrote. And then I realized, like, I'm doing this based on the fact that I'm listening to a song on the radio saying, okay, this is perfect. How do I match this perfectly? And that's the thing. Like, you can't live like that. Life is not perfect. There is no such thing as black and white. Everything is gray area. So it's kind of just learning to trust yourself and learning to allow yourself to, if you make a mistake, to own up to that mistake, and also like forgive yourself if you make a mistake. That's the biggest thing. Like, telling yourself that you are a human being, you're allowed to make mistakes, you're allowed to try things, you're allowed to not know the answer. That's my biggest one. You are allowed to not know what the hell you're talking about.
Yes, it's so important. What you said resonated with me because it's exactly how I feel. I'm sure for you it's also like a daily work, right?
Yeah,
Internal
it's a
work.
daily
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge and a real struggle sometimes. So, how do you manage setbacks where something doesn't go the way you wanted? Like, what's your process of like letting it
Um,
go?
I am really big on trying to use humor to make myself feel better about anything. It's how I
I
talk
love
myself
that.
up. Like, if something happens, I'm like, well, shit, that didn't work. Like, we're going to try something
Yes.
different. So I feel like humor is the best way for me. But also, I think taking that, and instead of taking it as like you said, like a failure, using it as like
Yeah.
okay, here's a stepping stone that I took that didn't work for this specifically. What can I do next time to like maybe shift it a little bit? And honestly, for me, I think that's really big. I think keeping things fresh and fun makes it where I don't get bored when I'm writing. I don't get bored when I'm performing, like changing things up, always keeping it spontaneous. And I think that's the biggest way for me to kind of overcome those hurdles is basically to tell myself, you know what, that didn't work, but the next one will. And if that one doesn't, then we'll keep going and that next one will. You
Yes,
know?
I love that. You just got to keep going. Talking about habits, which I think are so important in our lives, what would you say is the most important habit you have cultivated that's responsible for your success as an artist?
Oh, good. That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
I think being kind to other people.
Okay.
Um, honestly, I have always found myself so incredibly humbled by the people that I have met in this industry. I've met a few people that weren't super friendly,
Mm.
that did not want to spend their time talking to somebody like of the likes of me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like whenever I meet someone, whether it's a musician who like is inspired by something that I do or they want to know how I do something, I always take the time to answer somebody. Like that's a big thing for me for social media where I take breaks sometimes because I have a problem not responding to people and I will respond to every little thing that somebody sends me because I feel like these are the people who are coming to support you. You should respond to them
Yeah.
if you can, you know? I mean, eventually if it got to a bigger level, I wouldn't be able to. But right now I feel like I'm comfortable doing all of that. So when you're climbing that ladder to I guess what you think is success, the people that you're kind to are the ones who are building that building block. And if something ever happens, like say you get signed by a label and they shelf you or they cut you from their team, those branches that you've built are the ones that are keeping you up on that tree. Like if you've been mean to people, you're just falling back to the bottom because nobody's going to want to support you when you've been a jerk, you know? So for me, it's just remembering to always be kind to people, whether they're nasty to you or not. Like I really am a firm believer of like kill them with kindness. Like
Oh, I
don't
love
let somebody
that.
walk yeah, don't let somebody walk all over you. But like, if I have to be like the sweetest cupcake nice to you and it's killing you that I am, I'm doing my job. You know, like make you hate me because I'm too nice to you.
I love that's gonna be my new phrase. I'm gonna quote you.
Yeah, kill them
Kill
with
them with
kindness.
kindness. That's my new mantra right there. Now that we're on the topic of celebrities, I've had some bad experiences with celebrities when I was working at NBC and CNN. I'm not going to spill some tea because this show is not about that. But what I can say is that some celebrities that I've encountered in the past have this narcissist attitude, which I find hard to comprehend, given that celebrities owe their career to their public.
For sure.
Now, looking back at everything that you've personally been through, what is the biggest lesson that life has taught you so far?
Um, I think the biggest lesson is that everything comes back around.
Mm,
Um, every opportunity that I've missed that I've kind of like beat myself up for not jumping on has always circled back around. If it was meant to be, it has found its way back to me somehow. And I think that that's a big, I know that's hard for people to grasp sometimes that all these negative things happen, but they happen for a
yeah.
reason. But I do believe that like there's a plan out there somewhere for you and whatever is working, if it's for you, it'll work for you. If it's not for you and like the universe knows that you're not going to do well at this or you're going to get hurt doing this or your feelings are going to get hurt, I think there's just this like stoppage, you
Hmm.
know? And so for me, it's just knowing that whatever is meant for me will come back around.
Yeah. And sometimes it's so hard when you're in the moment. You feel like it's the end of the world. And then
Yeah,
after a couple
absolutely.
months and years, it's a redirection, right? Like it's never like it
Yeah,
didn't work.
absolutely.
Since we're in the topic of life lessons, what has been so far your lowest point in your life and what or whom helped you overcome that period of time?
Um, oh gosh. I hate to even like give this any more thought because it's been so long. But my before I got married to my wonderful husband,
Aw.
my ex, who I was with for about 5 years, I was in a really tumultuous relationship
Mhm.
where I basically stopped singing altogether. Um, I found myself allowing somebody to treat me really poorly,
Mm.
and I don't know why. It's like, I feel like that's the truth. Like, you accept that love that you think you deserve at that time. And I just felt like my self worth was nowhere to be found. And I had been planning on leaving this
Yeah.
relationship. And he ended up leaving me first. And I don't know why, but that shattered me.
Oh,
Like, because it was like, I knew that I was not meant to be there and he beat me to it. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
it was just this. shattering feeling that the person who was treating me so poorly that I had stuck by decided to leave me. And it was probably the lowest I've ever felt in my life. That includes like death that has surrounded me and things like that. Like it just, I felt like I would never be the same. And the best thing happened from it is that I wrote a whole album called Burn This Bridge. And the entire album is from start to finish my relationship. And I was so embarrassed for the longest time when I put that album out because it talks about a lot of things that I just never really wanted people to know. You know, I didn't want to show the parts of that relationship that weren't pretty. Everyone saw what was on social media and thought, oh, wow, your life's perfect. And so when it went public, it took off. And, you know, now I can finally say that that album is true. I did burn that bridge and I feel so much better having done so.
Yeah.
And now I'm where I'm at now. I mean, I met somebody who treats me so wonderfully, probably the nicest human being that I've ever met in the entire world. Like, I don't know how I ended up deserving it, but yeah, he's so supportive. Every song I put out, he's the first one to listen to them. And he, you know, he doesn't care that I'm a musician. He doesn't care that I know all these other celebrities. He doesn't care that I'm doing these interviews or whatever. He's just like, he's just my husband. He's just supportive, you know?
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I think it's so real. Sometimes our biggest triumphs come from very heartbreaking experiences.
Yeah, I definitely believe that for sure.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's very personal, but so good for our audience to hear. You know, life is not perfect for
sure.
anyone. For anyone. You know,
no, absolutely not.
We're just trying to do our best so we can be a better version of ourselves every day, because that's all we can do. Now, to end things on a lighter note, I'm going to ask you a couple of fun questions, but you cannot overthink it. You have to answer fast. So first of all, it's like, does music have like therapeutic properties for you? Does it help you with your mental health?
Yeah, it definitely helps with my mental health for sure. I mean, like I can sit down at a piano and write a song about anything. Like if I'm pissed off, if I've had a bad day, I can write a song about it. You know, again, I try to make it funny. Like I always post these like funny covers of like songs that I've switched up. But it's definitely therapeutic for me. I wouldn't say that it's like the most healthy because I tend to, when I start writing, get in my head and get a little sad because I feel like I have to kind of channel that sadness to write something. I don't know. That's just like my writing style. So probably not the healthiest way to write, but it feels good to me.
It feels authentic to you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it does.
Now, you're an amazing artist, but what are you not good at? Because we're all, you know, we have things we're not good at.
What am I not good at? I'm not good at admitting when I'm wrong.
Oh, I'm like that too. Oh, I hate that.
Like when I tell you that I'm bad, I mean like I am the first one to call somebody out when I'm like, oh, that's wrong. Like that is wrong. But when someone does it to me, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm always perfect.
Yeah, like so it's definitely more with my family and my husband, but yeah, I just have a really hard time like admitting my own defeat sometimes.
No, it happens to everyone. My mom always like tells me, you need to learn to admit when you're wrong. And I'm like, okay. So I'm getting slowly better. Slowly better. If you were not a musician, like what would you be doing right now?
Honestly, I've always wanted to be a zoologist.
Nice.
My mom rescues animals. She's a rehabber for animals. And I grew up with animals everywhere in the house, and my mom like picking up like small woodland creatures like Snow White. So, I don't know. I think that if I ended up not doing music, that would have been what I went for, was something to do with like wildlife and animals.
Cool. So let's now talk about your style. Would you prefer heels or sneakers?
Ooh, oh God. That depends on the day, to be honest. Like today is definitely a sneaker day. It is hot outside. I am not about to try to walk around and sweat in a high heel, but I will tell you that I can rock a damn high heel.
Yes, I'm sure.
I love a high heel.
You probably could do it better than me. It's been a while.
I currently have like 18 pair of different high heels and wedges and like boots and stuff.
Yeah, way absolutely. More than I have. I've been too lazy because of quarantine, and I'm like insulated in my little office. I wear sandals. You don't even want to see like underneath this desk. It doesn't look good. Just kidding. How about eyeshadow or lipstick?
Ooh. Well, today I'm wearing lipstick,
Yeah.
but I am an eyeshadow junkie. I have probably, I'd say, a minimum of 15 palettes in my house right now,
Wow.
like full size palettes. Like when a new one comes out, I go and get it. And I've got specific colors that I like from specific palettes. And yeah, like my Instagram is basically every picture is my eyes in a different shade of color. Like I can't help it. I get up and I get like, that's like my go to. Like if I'm feeling down, I'm like, I'm gonna put some color on my face because it's gonna make me feel better.
And how did you
But
how did you learn to do makeup? Because that's something like I'm still struggling with.
YouTube,
Oh, I'm too
YouTube.
lazy.
I swear,
I'm too lazy.
I swear. I watched one tutorial video on how to put like lighter colors on the inside and darker on the outside, and like how to shape your eye. Like I've got like really like sunken in eyes, so it took me like 2 times trying, and now I'm obsessed. Like I can't stop.
Wow. Yeah, I watched the video and then I saw it for like 2 minutes. Like, this is so hard. All I've learned is from my sister because she's obsessed with makeup. And I want to learn, but I've been lazy. That's the real story.
It's so fun, and like you can change the colors around for like your mood or what you're wearing. There's just always something to put on. But eyeshadow is my go-to. But lipstick, I don't know why, but lipstick makes me feel sexy.
Yes, sexy.
You know, when you put on like a really good power lipstick and you're like, like you just feel good. That's why I like.
Yeah, I actually feel good, but eyeliner, that never happens. I'm like, well, I don't want to scare people. That's what happens.
Eyeliner is hard. I don't care who you are. It's hard.
It is hard. So what is your motto in life? Do you have a motto or a song or something that you constantly you're telling yourself?
I think that circles back to just be kind. Like try your best to be kind. Keep a positive attitude. That gets so hard for me, and it gets hard for everyone, especially in the last like year with the pandemic. It's hard not to dwell on things that are negative, like because they're just the ones that feel like they keep coming at you. Like I have these moments where I feel like it's always something, it's always something going wrong. Always. Like there's never just a clear moment. You're just waiting for that other shoe to drop. And I think you got to pull yourself out of that and just say, you got to keep a positive attitude. You got to be kind to people, even when it's hard.
Sometimes
and that's
hard.
just my like self motto. And be authentic. That's my number one. Be who you are. I don't care if people around you are saying things. If these like you said, if your friends mind, then they don't matter. And if they matter, then they don't mind. That's how I like to put it. So for me, it's you've got to be who you are, because you at the end of the day, you've got to be happy with you.
Yeah. If there are 3 things, guys, you got from this podcast today: be kind, be positive. What else? One more. Be kind, be positive.
And kill them with kindness.
Yes, and be authentic. There you go. Be authentic. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. What is one place online where we can find you the most?
I'm definitely an Instagram junkie, so it's at Ryan Lill Music, RyanLill Music. Everything's posted there. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon. I have an iHeart radio station.
Yeah.
I have a Pandora station. So yeah, you can find me everywhere online. I'm all over the place.
Your music.
Okay, my music. I just put out a song called Ocean. You guys would freaking love it. And then I put out a song called Adore Me, which is an 80s pop song. And in the video, I am in full drag teaching a weight loss class, and it is glorious.
It's hilarious.
So
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for your time. You're the best.
Thank you. You're the best.
Aw. Have a beautiful day. That is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have an incredible lineup of guests, so you're not going to want to miss any of our episodes. Also, connect with us on Instagram and join our Facebook group at My Voice or Story for more tips on how to live your best life.